I should have known something was wrong when Julia started wearing perfume to bed. My name is Matt Foster, and 3 months ago I thought I had a pretty decent life. Suburban house in Millbrook, Massachusetts. A wife who tolerated my dad jokes, and a steady job fixing computers for people who thought turning it off and on again was some kind of ancient wizardry. I'm 34, slightly overweight, and my idea of excitement is finding a new craft beer at the local grocery store. Julia, my wife of 6 years, is everything I'm not. Marketing executive, perfectly manicured nails, the kind of woman who owns multiple pairs of shoes that cost more than my monthly car payment. At 32, she's still got that college cheerleader energy, though lately it's been directed at everyone except me. Matt, I'm going to that conference in Boston this weekend, she announced on a Tuesday evening, not looking up from her phone, with Eric. Eric Shaw, her boss. 40 years old, drives a BMW, and has the kind of smile that makes you want to check your wallet afterward. I'd met him at the company Christmas party, where he'd given me a handshake that felt like he was trying to establish dominance over my entire bloodline. Another conference? I asked, spooning leftover Chinese takeout onto my plate. Didn't you just get back from that marketing summit in Hartford? This is different. It's about digital transformation strategies. She finally looked up, her green eyes flashing with annoyance. Some of us are trying to advance our careers, Matt. There it was, the subtle dig. The reminder that while she was climbing corporate ladders, I was crawling under desks to untangle Ethernet cables. Right. Well, have fun learning about digital things. She rolled her eyes and went back to her phone. I noticed she angled it away from me, which was new. Julia used to show me every funny meme, every stupid video her friends shared. Now her phone was like some classified government document. That night, she wore the perfume again, something expensive and floral that definitely wasn't the vanilla body spray she'd used for years. When I rolled over to kiss her goodnight, she turned her cheek. I'm tired, Matt. Big day tomorrow. I stared at the ceiling for 2 hours, listening to her breathe and wondering when exactly my wife had become a stranger. Friday morning came with the kind of manufactured enthusiasm that should have triggered every alarm bell in my head. Okay, honey, I'm off, Julia sang, wheeling a suitcase that looked suspiciously large for a 2-day conference. Don't wait up tonight. Eric booked us late dinner reservations to discuss the presentations. Eric booked dinner reservations? For the team, Matt. God, you make everything sound so suspicious. But here's the thing about being married to someone for 6 years. You learn to read between the lines. And Julia's lines were spelling out something I really didn't want to acknowledge. After she left, I did what any rational, mature husband would do. I went through her stuff like a DEA agent searching a drug dealer's apartment. In her jewelry box, tucked behind her college sorority pin, I found a hotel receipt. The Fairmont Copley Plaza. One night, 2 weeks ago. The same night she'd claimed to be at her book club. My hands were shaking as I photographed the receipt with my phone. Book club. Jesus Christ, Julia. At least be creative with your lies. I called my best friend Nate, who runs a small private investigation business and has the moral flexibility of a yoga instructor. Nate, I need a favor. Let me guess. Julia's acting weird, and you want me to tell you you're being paranoid. Actually, I want you to tell me I'm not. There was a pause. Shit, Matt. You sure you want to go down this road? I'm already on it. I just need to know where it leads. By Saturday afternoon, Nate had earned his fee. Eric Shaw wasn't just taking my wife to conferences. He was taking her to the Fairmont Copley Plaza every other weekend for the past 2 months. Same room, same credit card. There's more, Nate said, his voice grim over the phone. I did some digging into Shaw's finances. Guy's got some interesting expense reports. A lot of client dinners that don't match up with any actual clients. What are you saying? I'm saying your wife's boyfriend might be stealing from his own company. And if Julia's involved in approving those expenses. The room spun slightly. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was potentially helping her lover embezzle money. I hung up and sat in my kitchen, staring at the evidence spread across my dining table like pieces of a puzzle I really didn't want to solve. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, printed emails with timestamps that coincided with Julia's mysterious late meetings. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from Julia. Conference going great. Learning so much. Miss you. Followed immediately by a selfie of her and Eric at what was clearly an expensive restaurant, both of them looking flushed and happy. In the background, I could see a wine bottle that probably cost more than my weekly salary. I stared at that photo for a long time. My wife, glowing with happiness I hadn't seen in months, sitting across from another man who was looking at her the way I used to look at her. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. Not just anger, though there was plenty of that. This was something more calculating, more patient. Julia thought she was smart, thought she could upgrade from her boring IT husband to her successful boss without any consequences. She thought I was too stupid, too passive, too grateful for her attention to ever fight back. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. Sunday evening, Julia came home with a kind of post-conference glow that had nothing to do with professional development. "How was the learning experience?" I asked, not looking up from my laptop. "Amazing. Eric really knows how to present complex information in an engaging way. I'll bet he does." "That's great, honey. Hey, I was thinking we should have Eric and his wife over for dinner sometime. What's her name again?" Julia froze in the middle of unpacking her suspiciously wrinkle-free clothes. "Rachel. Her name is Rachel. But I don't think... Eric keeps his work and personal life very separate." That's weird. Most people love showing off their spouses. She shot me a look that could have frozen vodka. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just making conversation. But I was already planning. Rachel Shaw. It took me exactly 15 minutes to find her on social media. 48 years old, interior designer, married to Eric for 12 years. Her last post was from Friday night. "Quiet weekend at home while hubby travels for work. Wine and Netflix for me." Posted at the exact same time Julia had sent me that selfie from the restaurant.
Poor Rachel. She had no idea her husband was sampling the company's marketing department while she sat home alone.
Monday morning, I called in sick to work. Instead, I drove to Eric's office building and parked across the street with a coffee and a pair of binoculars I'd borrowed from my neighbor who thought he was a bird watcher. At 11:30 a.m., Eric and Julia emerged from the building together. He had his hand on the small of her back, guiding her toward his BMW like she was some precious cargo that might break. They drove to a small cafe downtown, the kind of place with overpriced salads and pretentious coffee drinks. I followed at a distance, feeling like a character in one of those detective novels Julia used to read. Through the window, I watched them hold hands across the table. Julia was animated, laughing at everything Eric said. She touched his arm when she talked, leaned in close when he whispered something in her ear. I took pictures. Lots of pictures. When they got up to leave, Eric kissed her. Not a friendly peck on the cheek, but a full romantic kiss that lasted long enough for me to capture it from 3 different angles. My wife of 6 years kissing another man in broad daylight in public, not giving a damn who might see them. That evening, Julia came home an hour late. "Sorry, honey. Got stuck in a meeting with Eric about the Henderson account." "The Henderson account?" "You wouldn't understand. It's complicated marketing stuff." I nodded sympathetically. "Sounds stressful. You look tired." "I am. I think I'll just take a bath and go to bed early." While she soaked in the tub, I went through her purse. Credit card receipts from the cafe where I'd seen them. A business card from a jewelry store I'd never heard of. And tucked in her wallet, behind her driver's license, a key card from the Fairmont Copley Plaza. She was keeping souvenirs. I photographed everything, then carefully put it all back exactly where I'd found it. Tuesday morning, I called Nate again. "I need you to dig deeper into Eric Shaw's finances, and I need you to find out everything you can about his wife, Rachel." "Matt, you're starting to sound like a man with a plan." "Maybe I am. What kind of plan?" I looked at the photos spread across my kitchen table. Julia and Eric holding hands. Julia and Eric kissing. Julia and Eric walking into that hotel like they owned the world. The kind where everyone gets exactly what they deserve. By Wednesday, Nate had struck gold. Eric Shaw wasn't just skimming from expense accounts. He was running fake consulting contracts through shell companies, billing the firm for services that didn't exist, and splitting the profits with 2 other executives who thought they were smarter than their own accounting department. "This guy's stealing at least $50,000 a year," Nate reported. "And get this, Julia's signature is on half the approval forms." She's in on it? Either that, or she's the most gullible person in corporate America. These expense reports are so obviously fake, a high school accounting student would spot them. So Julia wasn't just cheating on me. She was helping her boyfriend steal money, probably planning to use it to fund their new life together once she worked up the courage to leave me. The cold feeling in my chest spread. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. This was about my wife systematically betraying everything we'd built together while planning to destroy me financially and emotionally. Wednesday night, Julia announced she had another late meeting. With Eric? I asked innocently. With the whole team. We're behind on the Morrison project. Want me to pack you some dinner? You've been working such long hours lately. She looked almost guilty for a second. That's sweet, Matt, but Eric's ordering food for everyone. Of course he was. After she left, I sat in my kitchen and made a list. Not a grocery list or a honey-do list. A revenge list. Eric Shaw thought he could steal my wife and his company's money without consequences. Julia thought she could lie to my face every day while planning her exit strategy. They both thought I was too stupid and too weak to fight back. They were about to discover that underestimating Matt Foster was the biggest mistake of their lives. I picked up my phone and started dialing Rachel Shaw's number. It was time to even the playing field. Mrs. Shaw, this is Matt Foster, Julia's husband. I think we need to talk. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. When Rachel finally spoke, her voice was carefully controlled. About what, Mr. Foster? About where our spouses really are when they're supposedly working late. Another pause. Longer this time. I think you should come over, she said finally. Eric's at another one of his business dinners. Rachel Shaw lived in a house that made mine look like a garden shed. Everything was white and pristine and expensive, the kind of place where you're afraid to touch anything. She was waiting for me with a bottle of wine and a look that suggested she'd been expecting this conversation for months. How long have you known? I asked. Suspected? About 6 months. Known for certain? About 10 minutes ago, when you called. She poured herself a generous glass of wine. I hired a private investigator last month, but I kept making excuses not to look at his report. Cowardly, I suppose. What changed your mind? She pulled out an envelope and handed it to me. Inside were photographs that made my pictures look like amateur snapshots. Eric and Julia at restaurants, hotels, walking hand in hand through Boston Common. Professional surveillance photos with timestamps and locations. Your call was the kick in the ass I needed, Rachel said. So what do we do about it? I liked Rachel Shaw. She was direct, practical, and clearly as tired of being played for a fool as I was. We make them pay, I said. Not just for the cheating, for everything. I told her about Eric's financial irregularities, the fake expense reports, the shell companies. Her face grew harder with every detail. That bastard, she whispered. He's been telling me we need to cut back on expenses while he's stealing money to wine and dine your wife. There's more. Julia's been approving the fake invoices. She's not just sleeping with your husband. She's helping him rob his own company. Rachel finished her wine in one gulp. What do you need from me? Access to Eric's home computer. His personal files. And I need you to keep acting normal for a few more days while I set things up. What kind of things? I smiled, and for the first time in weeks it felt genuine. The kind that will make sure Eric and Julia get exactly what they've earned. Thursday morning I called Julia's office and spoke to Maya, her ambitious young rival who'd been gunning for Julia's position since she started. Maya, this is Matt, Julia's husband. I have some information you might find interesting about those expense reports Julia's been approving. What kind of information? The kind that might explain how she affords those designer shoes on a marketing salary. Maya agreed to meet me for coffee. 20 minutes later, I was showing her copies of Eric's fake invoices with Julia's signature on them. Holy shit, Maya whispered, studying the documents. These are completely fraudulent. The consulting companies don't even exist. I know. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Maya's smile was predatory. I'm going to do my civic duty and report financial irregularities to the appropriate authorities. When? How about Monday morning? Give me the weekend to make copies and organize everything properly. Perfect. That would give me time to execute the rest of my plan. Friday afternoon, I got a text from Julia. Another late meeting tonight. Don't wait up! Instead of responding, I drove to the Fairmont Copley Plaza and waited in the lobby with a newspaper and a baseball cap pulled low over my face. At 6:30 p.m., Eric and Julia walked in like they owned the place. He had his arm around her waist. She was laughing at something he'd whispered in her ear. They looked happy, relaxed, like a real couple. I followed them to the elevator and watched the numbers. 7th floor. While they were getting settled in their room, I went to the hotel bar and struck up a conversation with a young woman who looked like she spent her evenings documenting every moment of her life on social media. "Excuse me, miss, I'm trying to surprise my sister for her anniversary, but I can't remember what room she's in. Julia Foster, she's here with her husband, Eric?" The woman was more than happy to help, especially after I bought her a drink and explained how romantic it was that I wanted to surprise them with champagne. 20 minutes later, she was live streaming herself delivering a bottle of champagne to room 717, cheerfully announcing to her 3,000 followers that she was helping surprise the cutest couple at the hotel. The live stream captured everything. Eric answering the door in a hotel bathrobe, Julia in the background, clearly undressed, calling out, "Who is it, honey?" The look of panic on Eric's face when he realized he was being filmed. "Oh my God," the young woman said, still streaming. "I think I got the wrong room. This is so awkward." But it was too late. The video was already out there, already being shared and commented on. Eric Shaw and Julia Foster. Caught on camera in a hotel room, clearly not at a business meeting. I bought the young woman another drink and slipped her a $50 tip for her help with the surprise. Saturday morning, I sent the live stream link to Rachel Shaw with a simple message. Time to stop pretending. By noon, Rachel had filed for divorce and was posting her own social media updates about her cheating husband and his lying mistress. The video went viral in their social circle. Julia's friends, Eric's colleagues, everyone in their professional network saw it. The comments were brutal. "Isn't that Julia Foster from Meridian Marketing? OMG, that's Eric Shaw. Doesn't he have a wife? What a sleazy pair." Julia came home Sunday evening looking like she'd been hit by a truck. "Matt, we need to talk." "Sure, how was your weekend?" She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her trying to figure out how much I knew. "There's been a misunderstanding. Someone posted a video online, and people are saying things." "What kind of things?" "Lies. Horrible lies about Eric and me." I pulled out my phone and showed her the live stream, which now had over 10,000 views. "You mean this video? The one where you and Eric are clearly in a hotel room together?" Her face went white. "Matt, I can explain. Please do. I'm fascinated to hear how you explain being half naked in a hotel room with your boss." She started crying. Real tears. The kind that used to make me want to comfort her and fix whatever was wrong. It's not what it looks like. "Eric and I, we work closely together, and sometimes you what? Sometimes you accidentally end up naked in hotel rooms together. We made a mistake. One mistake. It didn't mean anything." I showed her the hotel receipts, the credit card statements, the photographs of them holding hands and kissing. "One mistake? Julia, you've been sleeping with Eric for months. You've been lying to me every single day." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Matt. I never meant for it to happen. But it did happen, over and over again. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll quit my job, whatever you want." I looked at my wife, crying and desperate, and finally telling the truth. "What I want," I said calmly, "is for you to pack a bag and get out of my house. Matt, please. You've got 5 minutes before I call the police and have you removed for trespassing." She stared at me like she'd never seen me before. Like the mild-mannered IT guy she'd been taking for granted had suddenly grown fangs. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I hear Eric's looking for a new place to live too. Maybe you can figure it out together." As she packed, I sat in my kitchen and waited for Monday morning. Because the public humiliation was just the beginning. The real fun was about to start. Monday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes you believe in new beginnings. I was having my coffee and reading the news when my phone started buzzing with notifications. Maya had kept her word. By 9 a.m., she'd delivered copies of Eric's fraudulent expense reports to the company's CEO, the head of HR, and the accounting department. She'd also sent them to the local business journal because Maya understood that public shame was often more effective than private consequences. At 9:47 a.m., Eric Shaw was fired. At 10:15 a.m., Julia was fired. At 10:30 a.m., the story hit the local news. Marketing executives terminated an embezzlement scandal. By noon, Eric's professional reputation was destroyed. The business community in Millbrook isn't that large, And word travels fast when someone's been caught stealing. But I wasn't done. Rachel Shaw had been busy too. Her divorce attorney was a shark who specialized in high-asset cases, and she'd frozen Eric's bank accounts pending a full financial audit. Eric's BMW got repossessed Tuesday morning, right in front of his apartment building, while his neighbors watched and whispered. Julia tried calling me 17 times that day. I let every call go to voicemail. Matt, please pick up. I need to talk to you. Matt, Eric's been fired. They're saying we stole money. This is all a misunderstanding. Matt, I'm staying at a motel. I don't have anywhere else to go. Matt, please. I love you. We can fix this. Wednesday evening, she showed up at my door. She looked terrible. Unwashed hair, wrinkled clothes, the kind of desperate exhaustion that comes from watching your entire life collapse in real time. Let me in, Matt. We're still married. Actually, we're not. I handed her a manila envelope. Divorce papers. I filed them yesterday. She stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. You committed adultery, Julia. You helped your boyfriend steal money from his company? You lied to me for months while planning to destroy our marriage. What exactly did you think was going to happen? I thought you loved me. I did love you. Past tense. The woman I loved wouldn't have done what you did. Eric said we could be together once his divorce was finalized. He said he'd take care of everything. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. How's that working out for you? Is Eric taking care of you now that he's unemployed and facing potential criminal charges? Her face crumpled. He won't return my calls. His lawyer told him not to contact anyone involved in the case. So he threw you under the bus to save himself. Shocking. I have nothing, Matt. No job, no money, nowhere to live. You should have thought about that before you decided to upgrade husbands. Thursday morning, I got a call from Officer Ruiz at the Millbrook Police Department. Mr. Foster, we've had a complaint filed against you. Harassment and stalking. The complainant is Eric Shaw. I almost laughed. What kind of harassment? He claims you've been following him, taking pictures, interfering with his business relationships. Did he mention that he was sleeping with my wife and stealing money from his company? He did not, but that's not really relevant to the stalking complaint. Officer Ruiz, I have documentation of every interaction I've had with Mr. Shaw. I've never threatened him, never contacted him directly, never violated any laws. I simply made sure that the truth about his behavior became public knowledge. The truth? That he's a cheating, lying thief who got caught. There was a pause. Mr. Foster, I'm going to give you some advice. Stay away from Eric Shaw. Don't contact him, don't follow him, don't post about him on social media. Let this thing die down. Absolutely, officer. I have no intention of contacting Mr. Shaw ever again. Because I didn't need to. The damage was done. Friday afternoon, I was in my backyard raking leaves when Julia appeared at my fence. She looked even worse than she had on Wednesday. Hollow-eyed, desperate, like someone who'd finally realized that actions have consequences. Matt, I need to ask you something. Make it quick. I have things to do. Did you plan all of this? The video, getting us fired, everything? I leaned on my rake and considered the question. A month ago, I would have lied. Would have made some excuse about just wanting the truth to come out. But the Matt Foster who'd spent 6 years being taken for granted by his cheating wife was gone. Yes, I said simply. I planned all of it. Why? Why couldn't you just divorce me quietly? Because you didn't just cheat on me, Julia. You humiliated me. You made me look like a fool while you paraded around town with your boyfriend. You stole money to fund your affair. You lied to my face every single day while planning to destroy our marriage. So you destroyed my entire life. No, you destroyed your own life. I just made sure everyone knew about it. She started crying again, but this time the tears felt calculated, manipulative. I'm pregnant, Matt. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. What? I'm pregnant. With Eric's baby, and he won't return my calls, and I have no money and nowhere to go. For a moment, just a moment, I felt the old Matt Foster stirring. The guy who wanted to fix things, who wanted to help, who couldn't stand to see someone suffering. Then I remembered the hotel receipts, the lies, the months of being treated like an idiot while she planned her new life. That's not my problem anymore, Julia. How can you be so cold? I learned from the best. She stared at me through the fence, and I could see her finally understanding that the mild-mannered husband she'd taken for granted was never coming back. I hate you, she whispered. Good. That makes us even. She walked away, and I went back to raking leaves. Saturday morning, I got a text from Nate. Turn on Channel 7. The local news was running a follow-up story about the embezzlement scandal. Eric Shaw had been arrested on fraud charges. Julia was named as a co-conspirator, but hadn't been charged yet, pending further investigation. The reporter interviewed several of Eric's former colleagues, who expressed shock and disappointment at his behavior. One of them mentioned that Eric's wife had filed for divorce and was cooperating fully with the investigation. They showed Eric's mugshot. He looked like a man who'd finally realized that his charm and good looks couldn't get him out of this mess. Sunday evening, my sister Leah came over with pizza and beer. So, she said, settling onto my couch like she planned to stay a while. Want to tell me what really happened? I gave her the whole story. The affair, the embezzlement, the revenge plot, everything. She listened without interrupting, occasionally shaking her head or making disgusted noises. Jesus, Matthew. I never liked Julia, but I didn't think she was capable of something like this. Neither did I. And you really planned the whole thing? The video, getting them fired, everything? Most of it. Some of it was just luck and good timing. Leah was quiet for a long moment. Then she raised her beer bottle in a toast to my little brother, who turned out to be a lot more dangerous than anyone realized. We clinked bottles, and for the first time in months, I felt genuinely happy. 3 months later, Eric Shaw was sentenced to 2 years in prison for embezzlement. Julia pled guilty to a reduced charge and got probation, but her reputation in the marketing world was finished. She moved back in with her mother in Springfield and took a job at a call center. Rachel Shaw got a very generous divorce settlement and started her own interior design firm. We still email occasionally, friendly updates about our respective new lives. Julia had the baby, a boy. I heard through mutual friends that Eric refused a paternity test and wants nothing to do with either of them. As for me, I got promoted at work. Turns out that standing up for yourself, even in the most devastating circumstances, makes people respect you more. I bought a new car, took a vacation to Ireland, and started dating a nice woman who works at the library and thinks my dad jokes are actually funny. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, if destroying Julia's entire life was proportional to what she did to me. Then I remember coming home every night to her lies, watching her text her boyfriend while sitting next to me on the couch, listening to her make plans for a future that didn't include me while pretending to love me. She made her choice. I just made sure she lived with the consequences. The conference that broke me turned out to be the conference that made me. Because sometimes, when someone tries to destroy you, the best revenge is showing them exactly who they were messing with.